Okay, everybody, welcome back. And I know you guys are appreciating the fact that we brought this show back during the week of Juneteenth. I mean, obviously, we didn't do that on purpose, but at least it gives us something to celebrate. Here's what we have coming up for you today. First and foremost, it turns out that Jon Stewart, he's a STANdace. Unexpectedly, he showed me on his show the other day. We also have Miss Alabama. Yeah, obviously, you saw the news. We have to talk about that. She is, in fact, clinically obese, and I have some things to say about that. And Nikki Haley is still clinically psychopathic. But first, I want to talk about a clip of Tucker Carlson that's been going around and has some people outraged. All that coming up on Candace. Okay, so there are a lot of topics that we kind of have to cover in the retrospect. And I know one thing that you guys have been hitting me up about is the fact that I converted to the Catholic faith. Candace, why? Candace, yay. Candace, nay. I'm not going to get into all of that right now because there is so much that I want to say, and I am still very much on a journey, and I am still learning. But one piece of it that was very compelling for me was that my husband, early on, obviously when we got married, and I was questioning him about his Catholic faith, said to me, to become a student of history means to become a Catholic. I didn't know what he meant by that. I thought it sounded ridiculous. I thought it sounded very highbrow and English, so to speak. And that's why I married him, because he's very highbrow and English. But I didn't really start to understand what he meant. And by the way, my husband was also a convert. He grew up in the Anglican Church. I didn't understand what he meant until I started studying real American history, is what I should say. What we learn in school is just so basic. It is so untrue. And when you actually begin to pursue true knowledge and to read books, not the ones that were mandated to you by the public education system, it sort of blows your mind how little you know. America in particular, we really are a unique nation for many reasons. And now it is my belief that we are an extreme psychological experiment that has been going on for a very long time. Think of America as mass formation psychosis. Now, obviously, you know that term from COVID. It began trending, trying to comprehend how it was that so many people did seem to just fall into this psychosis. You had people running around that were scared to see people breathing. Never forget that. You should never pause. You should always pause, rather, and reflect on how tremendously insane it was. There's a couple of years in America, a couple of years ago, people were walking around seeing children that were breathing and they were upset. They were like, where is your mask? How are you breathing? We had the pads on the floor. Remember when we went to the grocery store every 6 feet and people were stepping on the pads, and God forbid you forgot the rice, which was 6 feet ago. And you go, oh, can I turn around? And then the person behind you is like, no, don't you dare. You're going to have to go all the way around the grocery store pads and come back if you forgot something, because God forbid you breathe on me. That's what we're talking about when we say mass formation psychosis. The media was able to do this. And I want to be clear, they've been doing this for a very long time. And it wasn't always just about illnesses. It wasn't always about getting people to submit their bodies for another vaccine, even though that is one compelling piece of it. But it was also about topics like religion. Faith. Recently, Tucker Carlson joined Joe Rogan for an amazing sit down. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should. One of the reasons I love Tucker is because he's a bit like me in that when you listen to his show, it is like he's just talking to his friends. He has questions. He's asking questions. He's willing to, I guess, fall away from the mainstream narrative, and the mainstream media members hate him for that. They hate him for suggesting that they are lying to us all the time, because they are. But he said something really compelling when he was speaking to Joe Rogan, and I want to show you what he said, and I want you to really think hard on it. Take a listen.
I'll be specific. August 1945, when we dropped the atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and all of a sudden the West is just officially secular. We're God. There is no God but us. And that's the world that we have grown up in, but that's an anomaly. Like, no one else has ever thought that. There's never been a society that thought that. Every other society has assumed, and they've had all kinds of different explanations, and the details differ, but the core idea does not differ, never has differed from caves until now, that we're being acted on by spiritual forces at all times.
We are being acted on by spiritual forces at all times. And he is correct. Following the dropping of the atomic bomb, suddenly the West completely changed and we became unique. We became an anomaly in the belief that, no, we're the gods now. No. Science is where it's at. Spiritualism, no way. Faith, no way. Well, let me ask you a question. What if the people that gave us that idea very much understood that it was a lie? If it was a psychological effort to make you believe that this was it, that there was no higher power, that there was no such thing as a spirit, well, then it would allow them to impact your spirit repeatedly. I believe very much, I know very much, that your eyes and your ears are the window to your soul. You have a soul. And if you are listening to dark music, if you are watching things like pornography or watching violent films, it is impacting your spirit. And the people that introduced those things definitely are aware of that. So basically, the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing people that he didn't exist, convincing people that God didn't exist. And maybe we are actually being acted upon by people that worship Satan, people that actually are devilish. You know, when I think about what I was hitting upon on my old show that caused this mass media panic, that caused them to try to really effectively cancel Candace, I realized that I was talking a lot about, well, psychology and government. I was talking about Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology, who was in fact a pervert who protected child rapists. I was discussing, as we hit upon yesterday, Magnus Hirschfeld, the creator of transsexual ideology, which, was left off the table and I was lied upon. No, she was talking about Adolf Hitler. No, I'm talking about psychologists. I was also talking about the Diddy lawsuit. It was a very fascinating lawsuit because he was talking about the person who sued him, Hollywood, and how it operates. And it very heavily implied that the government is controlling Hollywood, that there's some sort of a gang that is controlling Hollywood. And they freaked out about that. Absolutely. You can't even talk about that. Why is that? And then it sort of reminded me in these conversations that I was having offline with Ye when all that stuff was going down, he was saying things to me that I just could not compute. He was talking to me about everybody having a handler in Hollywood, He was calling people the ops, this person is in with the government. And he notoriously said that Diddy was a Fed. He said that publicly. Diddy's a Fed. Diddy's a Fed. And everyone was like, Kanye's crazy. And now we're looking at this lawsuit and we're going, okay, wait a second. Clearly, Diddy was being protected by the government. Clearly, Diddy had a person he could call who would just clean up a mess if he shot someone, which the person in the lawsuit is alleging that he did, and that he was able to get it cleaned up and was able to get the media to lie about what actually took place at his studio. Again, those are allegations, but they are of some interest. And they're of more interest to me than ever before. Now, you may have recently seen me promoting this book, Chaos. To show it to you here. Just so you guys know, this was just sent to me on my birthday this year by my friends, and I had no idea what I was getting into. Honestly, you guys, my brain is melted. I don't know what is what in American society, but I do know that the people in our government are in fact evil. It is called Chaos, and the subheading is Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. It was written by Tom O'Neill, and I'm going to very briefly tell you how the story sets up because it's impressive. You get this guy, he's about to turn 40 years old, and his editor comes at him. He's a writer for Premiere magazine in Los Angeles or in Hollywood, and he says, hey, it's going to be the 30-year anniversary of the Manson murders, which forever changed Hollywood. Notoriously, it was believed that it ended the hippies era. The murders were so brutal and so disgusting and so jarring and so shocking that all of those hippie communes that were all over and everyone wanted to drop out of college and become a hippie automatically ended. People were suddenly buying locks and saying, okay, no, actually, we can't live freely. It's not about love and rock and roll. We need to protect our families. Nobody was experimenting with LSD anymore. And so he gets this assignment from his editor, and Tom O'Neill is like, come on, it's been 30 years. What am I going to tap into here that hasn't already been said? And he starts making some calls, and he's kind of struck by the fact that people seem almost scared to talk to him. I'm going to tell you that you will not be able to put this book down. Chaos is exactly what it is. He ends up realizing that everything the public learned about those murders was a lie. He ends up discovering that the CIA was involved. He ends up discovering that the CIA knew Charles Manson. He ends up discovering that Charles Manson himself was a Fed. Charles Manson was experimenting on behalf of the government with LSD, intentionally drugging people, that our government was obsessed with how to create how to control a mind, rather, how to create a mass psychosis. And they were conducting all sorts of illicit experiments on the American people, drugging people that worked at the CIA. This also brings us to MKUltra. We have discussed this before. You know, the idea that the government is involved in drugging people in an effort to control them. They say MKUltra ended. He talks all about MKUltra. Well, do you think it's ended? Me? No, I don't. Not after the things that Ye told me. Not after reading the text messages that were sent to him from who he says was his quote unquote handler, you know, threatening to drug him and send him back to La La Land, telling him he'll never see his kids again. What happened to Britney Spears? You know, I think as a nation, we have to be able to confront the fact that there is truly evil, that demons are real. There is no way we can arm ourselves against this sort of an evil if we're not even able to acknowledge it, because it is scary. I'm telling you, when I was reading this book, I don't think I've read a book that quickly since the last Harry Potter came out. But I was chilled by not realizing how much evil our government has committed in the past. But then I felt certain of the fact that this spiritual draw that I was feeling, which I would say really, really wanting to lean into my faith, that journey kind of began for me for the last year and a half. I knew that this was the way, this is the only way. We cannot fight demons unless we are willing to acknowledge that they are demons. So I beg of you, get your hands on this book, read it, confront it, and do not read it and walk away from it saddened or feeling like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What if our government really is this evil? Walk away from it being assured that we already know how this book ends. In the end, goodness wins. That's the truth. In the end, God wins. And that's all I'm going to say about that topic. But let me tell you, we cannot talk about God. We cannot talk about spiritualism. We cannot talk about faith without talking about Hallow. Yes. And I'm so excited to read ads for them, especially, and to promote Hallow as an app as a Catholic. And I'm especially excited for the summer because I make sure that I'm able to stay consistent in that routine. And that routine, of course, involves prayer. Pray in the morning, pray at night, pray before your meals. And a great way for me to do that is with the Hallow app, of course. It is now the #1 Catholic app in the world and an amazing app for any Christian that's looking to dive deeper into their prayer life. Hallow has thousands of prayers, meditations, and music, including new contemplative and contemporary Christian radio that I can listen to anywhere, anytime, and so can you. This summer, Hallow has a number of powerful prayer challenges and scripture series coming up with biblical scholar Jeff Cavins, Jonathan Rumi from The Chosen, and even Jim Caviezel from The Sound of Freedom and The Passion of Christ. So don't lose your prayer habits this summer. Maintain your peace and deepen your relationship with God on the Hallow app. You can download Hallow for free for 3 months at hallow.com/Candace. That's hallow.com/Candace. All right, guys, now it's time to get into some stories. Before we get into those stories, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to remind you this is the new YouTube channel. We're on a race to 2 million subs. I know that we're going to get there so soon. Also, yes, we are on Apple. We are on Spotify, wherever you listen. Go, sign up, subscribe. Let's jump into this. All right, so first up, I woke up this morning to an email from Newsweek. They said, Candace, you have a comment on what Jon Stewart said about you in his monologue last night. I said, Jon Stewart? Jon Stewart is watching my show, or my old show rather? What is he saying about me? She said it was related to Pride Month, and I went over and I had to listen to what he said, and here it is.
Target is apparently less proud of Pride this year. But why?
Retail giant Target is grappling with backlash from conservatives over its most recent collection celebrating the LGBTQ community.
Do not shop at Target, or else you're gay and you're a pervert.
Even if I'm just getting paper towels? Is that...
That's actually pretty funny. I had quite a chuckle when I watched it, and I just had a chuckle again when I watched it. That is very funny. Good sport, good jab. I like it. And the answer, Jon Stewart, is yes. Yes, you're still perverted, and you're so gay if you're getting paper towels. So stop shopping there. I kid, but you get the point. And I did watch the rest of his monologue, and we're actually agreeing. He is taking a different stance on this. Obviously, when I did that monologue, he's kind of taking it a little bit out of its context, but he got the funny part, so I don't care. But I was just speaking to the fact that these corporations obviously don't believe in anything that they're saying or doing when they are just throwing sprinkles and throwing rainbows at us during Pride Month. And they're treating their customers like children. Like I just picture a classroom full of toddlers rather, and just wanting to make everybody feel seen and feel heard. And by the way, that classroom would not be in my household because I don't do that with my kids. That's how you end up with a bunch of brats. And yet somehow we have a society that is filled with adults, and we have corporations that are treating them like children. Oh, do you feel seen this month? What are your pronouns? It's not healthy for a child to be treated like that, and it's not healthy for an adult to be treated like that. And of course, the reason why I encouraged all of my listeners to no longer shop at Target, and I am proud to say that I have not shopped at Target since, is because for me it was a bridge too far when they began selling tuckwear, really trying to appeal, in my view, to innocent children who are going through periods of severe confusion. And they're largely confused because it seems like the crazy people are running the place in our society, right? They're not learning from adults that are reasonable. They're not learning from adults that are anything but scared that if they don't kowtow to a certain narrative, they're going to lose everything. Now, the angle that Jon Stewart took when he did his monologue was essentially saying the same thing. These corporations don't care about you. And he presented a bunch of proof of how they run these campaigns and then they immediately stop. And all they're really trying to do is avoid criticism. And sometimes, of course, they just want to make money. That's it. They just want to make money. They realize that you have a lot of feelings, and that if they make you feel like you're seen, then you're going to run and you're going to buy their products. And for the first time ever, though, they are facing backlash. So I am very proud to learn that Target has decided to dial down on the sales and the appeal of trans children clothing. And if I contributed to that in any way, then I'm very glad that my show listeners feel the same way that I do, and realizing that we have to start having red lines. And if we do not stand up for children as a society, we are completely lost. And it's not just children. It's not just children, of course, as I said, who are just being given these participation trophies. And there's no greater example of that than learning. I could not believe this. Miss Alabama. I'm sure you guys saw this. I'm sure you're waiting on my commentary on this. I guess I will just start by showing you a picture of her. You guys, this is Sarah Milliken, and she was recently crowned the winner of the Alabama National American Miss Pageant, which now entitles her to represent the state of Alabama at the national level. Okay, so right away, obviously, you look at her, and I want to be really clear. I am not ever meaning to insult her as a person, right? What I actually would like to insult is the pageant itself, because it is very obvious that they picked her for one particular reason, and that particular reason is woke, right? They're trying to show that we can appeal to anybody. You actually don't have to be the best at anything. We just want to be the best at handing out participation trophies. And that's not to say that, oh my gosh, if you are a clinically obese person, you should be chased out of society. It is just to say that we recognize that when you enter in certain competitions, you should be in that competition because you are able to compete in a variety of skills. So for example, if I'm going to compete in a race, I better be fast. If I'm just going to compete in a running race, I better actually be fast. It would be ridiculous if they decided at a race where we were going, who is the fastest sprinter, to simply give it to a person on the basis of their skin color or how they look. When we are looking to beauty pageants, right, we are looking to examining what is the person that I am looking at, and I believe that she represents beauty. And you cannot extract beauty from health. You just cannot. You absolutely cannot extract beauty from health. And this is not a girl that is healthy. She's not healthy whatsoever. And so she got a ton of backlash. And I feel badly, again, that she felt that people were targeting her. But when the pageantry itself makes this statement like they did, they said, she is a trailblazer. This is a quote, direct quote. She is a trailblazer in inclusivity. And we could not be more ecstatic for this gorgeous legend. Okay, what kind of a legend are we talking about? That's what I want. What kind of a legend are we talking about? Because to me, what she actually represents is that we have a society that is suffering from various ailments. One of them is that the number one killer in our society is clinical obesity. And one of the ailments that we're suffering from is chronic lying. You have a media and an entire ecosystem that supports the media and its lies. And right now they're trying to convince us that sickness is health. Again, we go back to what we were talking about earlier, psychology. Right? This is another mass formation psychosis, trying to convince people that you should look the other way or actually look in the direction of somebody who's clinically obese and try to see that as a picture of health and of beauty. It is a lie. It is a disturbing lie. And the truth is that lie hurts people like Sarah, right? Sarah can compete in these pageants. She can. And what she should have to do is she should have to work hard like everybody else. She should try to get herself to become a role model and a picture of health. That's what she should do. She actually should say, I know that I am this size, but I can change this. I can get up every day. It can start with me just taking basic steps. And I know that I can lose weight and that maybe one day that is the goal. I want to be able to compete in a beauty pageant and to be able to share my story. Because that, by the way, is a relatable story. I know so many people who are struggling with weight. In fact, I'm ironically doing a step challenge with my sisters right now. And while my sisters are not morbidly obese like Sarah is, they are like, we're not taking any steps all day. We have a couple of extra pounds. We want to do something about it. So we're going to get up a little earlier. We're going to start taking steps. That is what you want to share, right? A goal that you can hit. And they're going, okay, we're taking this many steps. Now I'm going to take this many steps. And other people feel inspired by it. And we're looking at our watches. And when I see that my sister's done more miles than me, I then go out and I try to get an extra mile and grab one of the kids or grab Savannah and go for a walk. That is how a healthy society should function. So we should reject this. We should absolutely reject this. And Sarah has given a quotation, by the way. She said that she was a little traumatized after reading the comments. And so she has therefore limited her social media interactions as a result. And that makes me feel sad for her. It makes me feel sad for her because that shouldn't have to happen because Sarah should not have won this pageant in the first place. But she does say that this has been a dream of hers, and now her dream has been recognized. It has been 8 years in the making. And when she found out that she won, it was a reaction of quote unquote pure shock. And we all know that there's a reason that she was purely shocked because she knows deep down that she shouldn't have won this competition. Not on the basis of who she is on the inside. I'm sure she's a wonderful human being, but on the basis of what this pageant actually should stand for. When you say you are competing in this category, she should not have been standing on that stage and she should not have been crowned. And again, I do not say that to attack her. I say that to attack the society of lies in which we are living in. We have to stop. We shouldn't be aiming for pure shock all the time. What we should be aiming for is pure talk. Pure talk is just us being honest. But you know what it also is? PureTalk is also a company, a cell phone company that you should be signing up for. It is a brand that certainly has not been afraid to stand by me. They allow me to speak my truth on this platform about the most important issues that we face as a country. And that is why I am happy to say that PureTalk is still my wireless company. So if you haven't yet made the switch, I encourage you to do that now. PureTalk puts you on America's most dependable 5G network and offers unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $20 a month. Think about it. Why are you still with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile? You can literally get the best coverage, 100% U.S. customer service, and your family can save up to $1,000 a year. And the best part of this, of course, is that you're going to be supporting American jobs. It is a U.S. veteran-led company, like so many of the companies I'm working with now, because it matters. Our veterans are not being treated right, and we all know that. And the great charities that PureTalk supports, like America's Warrior Partnership, who is on the front lines of preventing veteran suicide, that is another reason why I love them. So do this for me. Go to puretalk.com/Owens And you're going to save an additional 50% off your first month when you make the switch today. Again, go to puretalk.com/Owens and support a wireless company that shares your values. What do we have up next, guys? Well, my girl, Nikki Haley. She's just insane. I don't even understand. I have to assume now that Israel's got blackmail on Nikki Haley because she has done the absolute most. First and foremost, she ran for the president of Israel on the U.S. presidential stage. That was weird. I've never seen someone so committed to another country, a foreign country, running for the president of the United States. It has to stop. It is a mockery. I don't know any other country, by the way, when they are having elections and candidates are up there, where you see them like rah, rah, rah about a different country. I would be uncomfortable if I was watching any other country that was like, let's just do nothing but talk about how much we love America, even though we're France. Like, what are you doing? You're running for the president of France. You should be talking about French issues. But I don't know, for whatever reason, Nikki Haley doesn't think that's weird. And now she's really upped the ante. I don't know if you've seen this, but she's gone over and she is signing bombs. Here she is in northern Israel. This photo was taken on May 28th, 2024, and she decided to get herself photographed signing Israeli artillery shells, right? So those are going to go and those are going to bomb Palestinians. Because that's what's happening, right? You can pretend all you want. I do not care if you are pro-Israel. You have to acknowledge the death toll of innocent Palestinians. I just don't understand how any person can look at that and be comfortable with the amount of children that have died, okay? But parking that aside, why are you signing bombs? In no scenario, I don't care if you're pro-Israel, why would you think it is a meaningful thing that is anything other than absolutely disturbing to sign a bomb? Why are you signing a bomb? This is not a book. This is a bomb that is going to kill human beings. You know what this is, guys? It's demonic. And I want to make sure that when you're listening to my show that you are being able to recognize that, because part of the American psychology, part of that experiment that I keep talking about is making us comfortable with demonic things like this. And I talk about that brainwash that I went through post 9/11, where I was like, well, it doesn't matter how many Muslim children are killed overseas, as long as I feel safe here in America. And suddenly you remove a piece of your own humanity when you start thinking like that. You remove a piece of your own humanity when somebody can make you go rah, 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 as long as this country, like this isn't a sports team. Humans are being killed. You don't sign bombs. That is disturbing. That is satanic. Okay? Signing something that is going to kill people is satanic. So Nikki Haley, I find her to be one of the most disturbing human beings in our society today. I think she's gross. I hope Trump does not put her anywhere near his cabinet because, again, she is not representative of a pro-Israel argument. She is representative of a pro-death argument, of a pro-killing argument. I think it's weird that anybody even wanted her to sign it. I mean, whoever said, hey, could you sign this bomb? I'd be like, no, I'm not going to sign your bomb, homie. But she did anyways. And she wrote, finish them. Just finish them. Yeah, I don't know why people are saying genocide. Oh, finish them. Just finish them. You know, I just don't think that she should be worrying about Israel. I think Nikki Haley should be worrying about America and America's economic climate. Because in today's economic climate, many of us find ourselves facing the challenge of managing our monthly expenses and our high credit card interest rates. And you feel trapped in the cycle of debt. With balances that persist month after month, paying only the minimum each month means it could take years to become debt-free. Reach out to American Financing, a trusted partner in helping people achieve financial freedom. If you're a homeowner, they can tap into your home's equity and help you eliminate high-interest credit card debt. On average, their customers save $854 per month, which is equivalent to receiving a $10,000 annual raise. The process is straightforward and it's quick. You could close your loan in as little as 10 days, and by acting today, you might not have to pay your next mortgage payment. It costs nothing to see how much you can save. This opportunity to regain control of your finances is too significant for you to ignore. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to call 800-795-1210. That's 800-795-1210, or visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. But let's just move on from her because I want to make sure that we have some time to get into your comments on episode 1. That was so amazing. You guys have no idea. I was so nervous. It was such a thing to really do this by ourselves, just our super small team, taking a chance here and believing that you don't need to be a part of a corporation and that you can say things that are true and not get canceled. And to see that this show in half a day, in 12 hours, got 500,000 views was incredible. And so now I want to jump into some of your comments on yesterday's episode. First and foremost, for our promo for the podcast, we did that fun 300 style clip. I'm sure you saw it. It was Christ is King. And I kicked Andrew Clavin down the well. Well, he was a good sport about it. He commented this on Twitter. He wrote, "I missed this while I was gone. I'm glad he shouted Christ is King when he kicked me into the well. Otherwise, I might have taken it as a hostile gesture." Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you were able to see the humor in it. And yeah, I'm not actually going to kick you down a well because that would be weird. But yeah, that is how I felt about Christ is King. And I just was going to say it. And unfortunately, you were the messenger who had to go down the well. Sometimes you do, in fact, have to figuratively kill the messenger. Next, we have Joe Sand. He says, "I have noticed since the October terror attacks in Israel how a lot of Jewish people in media, government, and in general view everything and anything as anti-Semitic. It really reminds me of people like Maxine Waters, Joyless Reed, Al Sharpton, and a whole lot of blacks who accuse everyone that doesn't agree with them as racist. It actually lessens the meaning and the sting of the accusation." I so agree with you, Joe, on that. And that is why I've been calling it out. It seems like it's like Jewish lives matter all of a sudden. And I had the strength and the willingness to call out my own community when they were engaging in that. And really, we're not calling out racism, but we're trying to actually control people's thoughts and control people's words and make people fearful of expressing how they felt. And I'm seeing this exact same trend, yes, since October 7th, the people pretending that this is really about, no, I'm really thinking this is anti-Semitism, when in fact, you're just trying to control my thoughts and my words, and we can't accept it. Again, there is no race that is above the other. So whether you view yourself as racially Jewish or you view yourself as racially black or racially white American, it doesn't fly with me. It doesn't fly with me. There's just no special category in my head, and the victim Olympics they're lame. Like, as soon as you start becoming a victim and like crying anti-Semitism and racism all day, you suck. I don't want to hang out with you. That's what I want you to know. Next up, we have Paul. He writes, "In my view, facing persecution for being a Christian is a sign that you are on the right path." Yes. And that, my friends, is why you do have this gratitude. Like, of course, obviously, everything was like super traumatizing, and the way that it happened, it was just so shocking. And I was sort of grappling with, how could I have given over 3 years of my life and moved here? And I felt really just treated so wrongly. And to have those things said about me for something that, in my view, is basic Christian doctrine. But then this overwhelming gratitude came over me. And I think that it really gets to the heart of the Christian faith in recognizing, like, man, now I really feel like a Christian. Like, persecution is the beginning of Christianity. And I just love your comment because it is so true. Next up, Asia Khan writes, "This is the same thing they are doing with those protesting for Palestine. Saying 10,000 children under 10 years old should not be dead is not anti-Semitic." You are correct. It is not anti-Semitic. It is pro-Christian. And I was very uncomfortable with the amount of Palestinian children that I were seeing on my Twitter feed, just amount of kids that were being killed. And I'm not going to discount my Christianity because I'm afraid of being called anti-Semitic. You know, how dare we stand on a platform and call ourselves pro-life and then be too fearful to actually take a pro-life stance when it matters? Children everywhere should always be protected. Innocent lives should always be protected, whether those lives are Israeli, or whether those lives are Palestinian, whether they're American. In general, we have to preserve innocent life. Next up, Candace. There's another Candace. I thought I was the only one. She writes, "Get it, Queen. We all knew you were not going anywhere. The comeback is always greater than the setback. God bless you, Candace." Thank you, guys. And by the way, so many of you have went ahead and gone to clubcandace.com to support this show. I've just been overwhelmed with the support and the love that you guys have given me. Truly, I want you to know that I could not have done this without you, and that we are able to maintain this show because of your support on Locals, because of your support on Minnect. I'm Minnect, and I'll be reading some of your questions that I'm getting on Minnect, Minnect. It stands for A Minute to Connect. Because of your support, because you did something so simple as purchasing a STANdace cup, which will, again, we're going to have to discontinue them every million subscribers. So hopefully these ones will be discontinued soon as we head toward 2 million. The last comment here from Amanda says, saying that Christ is king is anti-Semitic sounds anti-Catholic to me. I agree. I think it's anti-Christian to say that we can't profess our faith. Don't worry, 'cause I'm not going to stop professing it, baby. Christ is king. That's all we have for today, you guys. You know what to do. Follow us at Candace O Show. That's on TikTok. That's on Instagram. That's on Twitter at Candace O Show. Hope you guys have already hit subscribe. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple. Let's get up those charts, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.